Welcome to another episode of the Bloomers Podcast. My name is Amr. The Bloomers Podcast is about mental health, about life. Basically any topic you can think of, I probably talk about on this channel. So if you like that stuff, stay around, subscribe, like the video. It's been a while since I've recorded a solo video. It's been around 3 months. I did some guest videos on my vacation, and those were a lot of fun. It's April 7th, around 2:30 a.m. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about some stuff that's been on my mind lately. About relationships and finding a partner and sort of feeling alone and loneliness. That is something that I've been struggling with for a while now. But yeah, just before the video starts, I just want to, so in my culture, there's this really bad thing where, and I'm sure anyone who's brown can totally relate. There's this problem where if you mention the word relationships, your family and your extended family goes crazy and alarms go off in their head and they're all this weird stuff. I just want to say that if my extended family's watching, and if anyone for who some reason cares about what I do and who I am that much, just like, this is a positive space, and I'm not trying to, if you are really bothered by it, don't watch the video. And why do you care? Why do you care about me so much? If you're not, I swear, if you're not brown, you won't understand this. But this is a taboo topic, and it's not something that, a lot of Western families who are more, ingratiated in this culture can relate to. But this is, as an immigrant, first generation immigrant child, this is something that for some reason matters to people. And I just want to say, like, this is a positive space. I'm trying to do something good here, and I'm talking about things that are difficult to talk about in my culture. Okay, anyways, now that that's out of the way, lately I've just been feeling like, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, feeling like I'm not gonna be in a relationship ever. And I know how crazy that sounds, because if my kids are watching this in 20, 30 years from now, they're gonna be like, what the hell were you thinking? But it's just like, people are weird, man. People are really, really weird. Like, it gets me hopeless, and it makes me feel bad, what people do, how people act. I feel like there's a lot of, when we're young, and I literally had this conversation today with someone. I was talking about marriage, because that's my if you date, that's what your goal is if you're someone like me. And they were like, dude, you're 20 years old. I'm 21. But they're like, oh, dude, you're 20 years old. Like, how are you so serious about that? And as someone who, me personally, I was raised by, my mom, my dad, my sister. My mom and my sister were the two most beautiful, powerful women I've ever known. And under their, you can be raised by your father and whatnot, but you need, for men especially, you need to be raised, and you need to have an influence of a female influence, not just a male influence, but a female influence in your life that's strong, who can really push you and keep you grounded, keep you, aware, and what else, like, just tapped into that female mindset and not just stuck in the male mindset. And because of that, I feel like I matured a lot faster than some people. And I'm not saying that to try to like pretend I'm some next level person, but being and looking for a marriage partner or a life partner is something that came to me a lot quicker than some of the people my age that I know. And it just sucks, because at this point in my life, other people aren't at that stage yet, or most people that I know. So it leaves me in this weird space of like wanting something so badly, but not being able to get it, because it's crazy how relationships are just out of your control. Like, you can actually just end up lonely. Isn't that weird? Like haven't you thought about that before? It's weird to think about. Like, I never actually thought about how it's weird, because you think this would come quickly, but like the other person has to be so into it as much as you. And I've always felt like it's when I'm in a situation with a girl, it's like I'm so worried about them and like how they're gonna be, because I know what I am, and I know I'm these things, you know. I know myself, but I don't really know them, and I'm not really sure what to expect. And it's just like, man, why can't some people just be mature? Now listen, I got a bunch of stories of these crazy things that people my age are doing, and this is not to bash on girls my age, because I do not want to sound like an Andrew Tate person here, but like, take for example this story, okay? So my friend, I'm not going to name him, but my friend was really into this girl. He ended up, you know, talking to her on Snapchat and whatnot, and she was delaying her responses by, you know, weeks and days and stuff, which I told my friend, I'm like, dude, this is like that's a bad sign, right? So whatever, kept on going. Eventually he asked to hang out with her. Then, you know, they have they talk, whatever. My friend's really attracted to her. She hasn't expressed anything about him, but you know, he knows that he's really into her. And they've talked a couple times. They know each other slightly. Then this literally, like, this made me lose so much hope in humanity. When they were planning their hangout, it was like about you know, watching a sports game or something. At least this is what I was told. And then she responds to him about watching a game. Oh yeah, me and my boyfriend are totally into watching XYZ, so it would be great to catch a game. And when I saw this, or when I heard this story, my jaw literally dropped. I was so shocked. And people are gonna, I know someone's gonna think like, oh, I'd be cool with my girlfriend hanging out with another guy and watching something, you know, just as friends. Dude, one-on-one, that is really weird. I'm sorry. That's really strange. And just to know that someone is willing to be in a relationship but hang out with, like, a girl is willing to hang out with a guy one-on-one, even if it was flipped, even if a guy hung out with a girl one-on-one and was dating a girl, that's really weird. I'm totally against that. And I was just like, man, why can we not just be serious? And then I had another friend who he had this friend that he used to talk to after her class. They had a class at the same place, and when the classes would switch, my friend would go up to that girl and talk to her and whatnot, which was great. Eventually, one week they started hanging out, like 3 days of that week they hung out, and I'm talking about like in the car, like drove to, you know, a cafe, did homework together and stuff. And, you know, she expressed a lot of interest in what he was doing, because he was approaching her and she expressed a lot of interest. That's a good sign, right? Then things went on, and she just stopped responding. And she just basically ghosted him after showing so much interest for 3 days in person. This was like over 10 plus hours of time spent. And it's just like, why can't you just be mature and say no? What happened to basic respect and basic, you know, talking skills? You know, I've got my own experiences, but these are two of my friends, their experiences, and it's just like, man, why are people like this? And I can only talk about this from a male to female perspective, because I'm a straight male. I don't know what it's like on the other side. Maybe it's just as bad. Who knows? But like, there is a lack of maturity. There is a lack of seriousness, and that really bothers me, because how can I remove my emotions from, you know, wanting a relationship? How can I do that? This is something that matters to me a lot. I was raised with a lot of love, and I have a lot of love in my life with my family, and there's something inside of me, or I guess us, I'll just talk about me right now. There's something inside of me that just wants more. But at this point, it's like impossible to actually have that, because they're either traumatized, they're either immature and weird, or they're just not ready. I don't know. Like for me, I've had a lot of things go wrong, and I've never had like any success with girls, like long term, I guess, at all, ever. And it's a bit frustrating, because at some point you ask yourself, like, how long am I going to wait for? Like, how long is it actually going to take? And again, it's like, it's out of your control. It's partially out of your control. So there is a possibility that you could just end up never having any sort of romantic love in your life, which is scary. And I hope most of us don't experience that. But the thing is, when things go wrong again and again in your life and you never win, you're constantly losing, when things eventually do go right and you do win, it's amazing. Like, one of the most beautiful quotes that comforts me is, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow." Like, that's so nice. Like, the way I think about it is, for me, feeling lonely in the sense of relationships, and hopeless about, ever being in a successful one. I just remember that the reason why I'm doing this is because I have a genuine desire to create a very good relationship that will bring me a lot of happiness. That's the end I'm looking for. But when you ask yourself, why even be hopeful? It's important to remember that to have lots of mental courage and hope, you need to have something to look forward to, and you need to believe that it'll happen one day. And again, in something like this, in something like having a romantic relationship with someone, it is partially out of your control, but you need to do your best. And especially if you're a guy, sitting around and waiting is not going to cut it. Like, so this is something that I like. So in my culture, I talked about earlier, it's taboo to talk about relationships with, your parents and your family, friends and whatnot. But I have these amazing, like, aunt and uncle. They're not biological aunt and uncle, but, they are basically like my godparents. And their oldest son graduated university like 5 years ago. And he's been struggling to find a relationship. I don't blame him. I mean, it's tough, especially outside of school. And that was their point to me. They were telling me, talk to girls while you're in school. And this was amazing, because they're very practicing people, like we all practice Islam, our family and theirs. And it was really surprising to me, and it was really beautiful to see, like, oh, like there's finally a brown parent family that's changing, and that was amazing. But their point was very valid, is that, especially for guys, like, dude, you are gonna suffer if you don't try to talk to girls and have a relationship or create one, if you really want one. And you're going to suffer alone. You're going to, like, whether you're in a relationship or not, you are going to suffer if you're single. You are going to suffer if you're in a relationship with someone. But the better suffering is with a partner, and the better suffering is creating a family with someone. And the better suffering is having a long, happy life with someone else, and sharing memories, driving in the car, singing songs, screaming songs, going on vacation together, stargazing together, going to get dessert together, just laughing, man, all these beautiful things. It's like, you could be so happy and things could be so amazing, but it's not fully in your control. But you should try. You should still try. That doesn't mean you give up. A lot of the time, like I'm thinking, like especially when I before the 2 last episodes that I made, before I went on that trip to Ontario, for these 2 days I got so sad. And it happens to me where after my midterms I get really, really depressed. Sorry, not depressed. Shouldn't use that word like that. Like down. I just get really down. Some sort of period where I'm just like not myself. And obviously, like, it's normal. It's not like when I have these certain days like this, my mom is like, "Oh, like what's wrong? Like how come you're not normal?" Like, dude, I'm not gonna be myself every day of the week all the time. So if you ever have one of those days where you just don't feel like talking to people, it's whatever. It's normal. And if someone starts prying you about it, just tell them to like calm down and like back off. But I had this time where it was literally like one Saturday and one Sunday where I didn't want to talk to anyone. I really just wanted to shut up and think. And it was because I had a bunch of negative experiences with people, about, with the girl and with people and with friends. But when I went on that trip, and I like, you can go look at the podcast episodes, like they're very, very good. And when I went on that trip, it was a 9-day trip. It was a complete change. As soon as I got on that plane, everything was better. And it's something I've talked about before, which is if you want to make a real change in your life at any point, environment change is the best thing you can do. Whether that's literally going outside and going for a walk, or like doing something doing something that's not in your ordinary schedule, not just going to school, not just going to work and coming back home and cooking and doing this, something to break the cycle, something to like where your mind is completely filled up and you forget about time, that type of activity. It might be difficult to find, but you need to try things out. Don't just stick with the same things over and over, And that was the best thing. That was one of the happiest weeks of my life. And I'm so glad that I did that. I could have easily just sat home for my break and not done anything. But I made memories and I had a bunch of fun. And I really, really grew over that month. Like, it was crazy. Okay, one thing I'll talk about is I'm sure we all want an attractive partner. I doubt there's anyone out there who doesn't want an attractive partner. I'm sure we all do. But I'm going to tell you right now, it is very hard to trust people, and it is very difficult to maintain hope. I'll give an example, or I'll talk about it a bit more. So there's this person, okay? Now, I think it's very well known in society that women do not approach men, typically. And those who do, oh my God, I love you guys. Respect. I love you guys. But the women who approach men in society is very rare. Those who do are amazing. But there is this one, so I heard from a very trusted source that there was this attractive girl who I didn't really talk to, but that attractive girl had a crush on me, okay? I heard that. And obviously that made me very like hopeful. I'm like, wow, that's like I feel good. This attractive person finds me attractive. It's a good feeling. But I soon learned of this person's weird behavior. And by weird behavior, I mean talking to multiple guys at once, which I'm the type of person who sticks to one person at a time. Okay. And I don't agree in, multiple marriages, and I don't agree in what is it called? Like open dating? Yeah. I hate that. Whatever that stuff is terrible. But the problem with attractive people is and this is people, okay? I'm not singling out girls or guys. People, attractive people, is that they'll say things to get you under their spell so they can take advantage of you and use you just for fun. And that's what we call playing games. And it's terrible. And I, for a little bit, I was under this person's spell. I was like, dude, very attractive person, things could be awesome. Literally imagine my whole life with them in the span of one day. But it's the same thing as you listen to a really good song and you're obsessed with that song for a week, and you try to think of it like, oh, this song is like in my top 10 favorite songs of all time. But the truth is, you just like the song for the week, and then it goes back down to like top 100 songs you like. It's not. Don't fall for things like that. And if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Just leave it. And anytime you get some sort of any doubt or any weird feeling in your gut, trust it. Don't neglect your gut. So many times in relationships, you get that gut feeling, but you toss it aside and you say, oh, because of this, I'm not gonna end things, or because of this, I'll keep going. No. Trust your gut. Your gut is telling you something for a reason. Stick with it. It's crazy. Like, for example, I mentioned that story of my friend earlier who messaged that girl and she was responding after like days and weeks. My friend was still going with it. And I literally told him, bro, I'm like, that is not a good sign. Okay? If someone really wants you, they'll respond and they'll be active. So clearly she's not interested in you. And it was crazy because when she started responding to him, it was just to inform him that she had a boyfriend. Like, what are you doing, man? That's so weird. Oh my God. But yeah, I just there's like a lack of straightforwardness and lack of maturity. I'm gonna keep saying that. That's just how it is. One of the last things I'll talk about here is how you shouldn't fear the moment. Live in the moment, but don't let the moment absorb you. And what I mean by that is sometimes, when people are looking at us and we have people around us, we don't do certain things because we fear what they'll think. But in one day, you'll be sitting at home in your bed and you'll be thinking about that moment, thinking, why didn't I do it? I always think about, myself in the future when I'm in the present, thinking like, why does this even matter right now if in a day I'll be doing this, or in a year I'll be doing this? And that really encourages me to, in my current behavior, do things that I normally wouldn't do, but are to my, that are things that will help me be who I want to be. So for example, approaching a girl, that's something that, if you're absorbed by the moment, you won't do, because there's a big fear of oh, people are looking at me, oh, what is this person going to think and say to me, and they're going to reject me. But for me, the way I think about it is, in a week I'll be doing something else. This won't even be on my mind. So why am I if this is my long-term goal, why am I letting the moment absorb me and stop me? It shouldn't. And one thing that I really, really wanted to say is, and this just so you, I know at times in life, when you feel alone and when you feel lonely and hopeless, there's this feeling of like, oh, no one really appreciates me. Like, why haven't people said kind things to me recently? That's something that happens to me a lot when I get in these weird headspaces of hopelessness and sadness. But one thing remains true is that you are more loved than you think. Most people out there don't tell you how much they appreciate you in the moment. If you say something nice, they likely keep it in their head, and they really appreciate it and say nice things about you in their head, but they don't say it to you. And I think that's because there's a fear of, when you compliment someone, I think that there is a sense of, oh, this makes me look weak, and this makes me look like I'm trying to suck up to the other person. And humans are also designed to really care about bad things more than good things. So, like, if someone says 9 good things and 1 bad thing, we'll remember that bad thing. We remember the bad things people do to us more than the good things. And I think that also contributes to the fact that, like, people don't really tell you how much they appreciate you, how much they care about you, as much as they should. It's important to say things and give people their flowers before they die. Because you really never know when they're gone. And you always want to live without regrets. And again, even in this situation, if you're going to compliment someone, don't be absorbed by the moment. Don't think, oh, this person's going to be like, oh, wow, they're just trying to like simp for me or something, or, just tell people how much you appreciate them. It goes a long way. And that's something I've been writing about in my journal lately, is like just how people don't do that. And I really try to push myself and be who I want to sorry. I really try to be the person that I want to meet, the type of person I want to meet. I try to embody that, and all these things that I've talked about here today are part of that. If you're feeling alone, and if you're feeling like you won't ever be in a relationship, or if you're just feeling alone in general, write in your journal. That really helps me, and it always makes me feel like this piece of paper has no judgments, and it's not going to say anything to me, and it's not going to harm me. The only good things can come out of writing your thoughts down. It's such a nice thing. It's so cool how you can just like things up here just translate to your hand, and then your hand moves on a paper. And okay, it's too late. I'm thinking too deep. I'm also very sleep deprived, so I think I'm just going crazy. But yeah, I don't know how much this episode resonated with people. I honestly just record these videos and see where it goes. I don't know. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you could empathize with me, and I hope maybe we could both understand each other a bit better. That being alone or feeling alone is okay. But be hopeful. Don't lose your hope. He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. So, yeah. Take care. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.